Well, good evening, everybody. We have just finished up our away match versus Reading. We got punked 2-0 and have lost the match, which is not very good. I didn't enjoy it. I'm sure you didn't enjoy it. We need to talk about this because a lot went wrong today. So come and join us. Let's figure out who's at fault. What did they do? What did they not do? Because this is going to be a good one. I'm Paddy Power. This is WREXtra Time on the local pundit. Come on board and have your say. And here we go. Ken, say something because I don't want to.
That was crap. That was crap. What a terrible display of football tactics.
Wow, that was coming. This was coming for quite a while. It really started with the ref, but our play was poor before the ref gave away that penalty. So we'll talk about the ref. I'm not going to blame him too much because you know that referees are going to screw you at some point. And then we decided to screw ourselves with the second goal as well, because only a few minutes later, we let them get a nice pass through all our defenders. They got on the end of it and hammered it home. So we did it to ourselves today, unfortunately.
100%, Paddy. Like, if you are going to allow a team to come at you all game and sit there and just try and defend and play out 0-0 until sometime in the second half and bring on some subs to try and win the game, you are asking for trouble, because a team, you can't give the team all the field position, even if they haven't got all the possession. I mean, they still had they had more than their fair share of possession. We had more possession than we normally have, but we had terrible field position, and we deserve to be beat.
Yeah, on the grand scheme of things, absolutely, we deserve to lose today. Even taking out that first penalty, we did ultimately end up with a few good chances that we could have converted. I would actually say it was possible for us to end up drawing it with the pressure we put at the end, but we did not take our chances. And we didn't take our chances in the start, which I think is the biggest problem. I said it, I put the comment up, triangles. Why? We could not pass the damn ball in the first half. It was horrendous what we were doing with our passing in the first half. And then in the second half, we're losing 2-0. All of a sudden, we can pass a ball. We're treading balls in between defenders. We're doing long balls. We're getting them up the wing. And people are getting on the end of it. What happened? Where did that come from in the start? We were lucky to get through the first half without conceding. But that has been coming for a long time. And it's unfortunately reminiscent of the away matches that we had earlier in the season. We have swapped back. But is it a player issue? Did the players mess this one up? Or did Parky mess this one up? Did he choose the wrong players? There's a lot of angles and a lot of stories to talk about on the match today.
Agree, Paddy. Agree. I see we've got a couple of people here in the background.
We already have guests waiting. I knew we would today.
I reckon we let them at it. Let them have at it, Paddy. I want to hear other people's opinions on what they thought of today's game.
Okay, so everybody, let's welcome in our two guests. So bring them in together. We have Robert and Brian. Hello, guys.
Hello. Hello. How's my audio?
Yeah, both good. I can hear you nice and clear. Okay.
Sometimes you just can't catch a break and you lose. That's the summary of it. But I think the referee subconsciously gave us, even things out with that bad penalty call with the red card. That's my take on it. And Wrexham just were not able to capitalize on I won't say gift, but a very fortunate break.
Do you think we were lucky? Your comment kind of implied a little bit we didn't get the breaks. Were we unlucky with our play?
It's so basically we go into Hail Mary mode to try to catch up, and it could only work so often, right? So
yeah,
the penalty was an unfortunate call. Reading's second goal was class. Really can't complain about that. They had a nice possession, nice progression to the goal. Excellent shot. And Arthur made some other good saves. So it could have been far worse than 2-0. We just get into a position where, and it doesn't happen often. I mean, rarely have we ever fell back to 2-0. Or even 1-0 that often. I think we were somewhat outplayed, but I think the mad dash at the end is just couldn't put the ball away. Just couldn't put it away, and that happens.
What's your say?
Well, I think I don't want to say the match was lost before it started, but the lineup choices I thought were extremely poor. Playing Mac in the midfield, we didn't want to play Ashfield even on the bench because we thought it was too risky. But clearly, our conservative approach turned into disaster anyway. Don't see Parkey ever improving on his player selection in terms of making lineups. I think his scouting is quite good. So I think even if we don't go up, we'll splash a lot of cash and buy better players. I think the only way forward is if he just has better players to choose from. Maybe he just can't go wrong. But he just, every time he has that option to make the sentimental pick, he always tends to go wrong. And I take some solace in the fact that I don't think I'll have to see O'Connell next season, whether we're in League One or Championship. I think he'll be replaced by a better player. So that alone gives me some comfort. And I think we need to bring Brunt back. There's no substitution for quality. And I don't know. I think we're capable of beating Wycombe. That's the only thing that will make anything better is beating Wycombe on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I might as well say it now. For as bad as this loss is, and it was a horrible game, and we're going to discuss it and go through it. The sky is not falling yet. We are still equal on points with Wycombe, although they now have a game in hand. But their next match is with us, so we can balance the scale with them by winning that match. And with James's comment here, weren't unlucky, lads. Just think Reading were class, defensively brilliant. Best of luck for the rest of the year. Yeah, they're okay. Defensively, they were okay. They played very well today. Our first half was ridiculous. It was so weird, and the fact that we could pass it around later in the match, it was a setup problem. We started way too defensive, which is Parky's mindset, and it has worked for long enough now. And at some point, it wasn't going to work. We have all said this. We've been lucky in some of our matches, but it's just the style of play he wants. He's playing the odds. He's still playing the odds that we would have got a draw or a win out of this playing in that style. But one thing we did say when we were talking about the team before we started for Reading, I said, if you give a young, fast team space, they're going to hurt you. they're going to try and play around you, and they did. They absolutely played around us. We were very lucky to go in at halftime with a 0-0. Part of that, then, look, let's talk about the big one, Maka. Maka was put in the middle today. It didn't work. It didn't work. And the first 20 minutes, he seemed to forget where he was playing. He was out on the wing, bumping into Revan, or in around that area numerous times. Revan also looked crap today. But it did not help when Maka was trying to do both jobs. He was trying to be in the midfield, and then he also tried to be a secondary left wing back. I'm like, that's not your job now. Get out of there. And it wasn't great. So Maka, let's focus on Maka then. What do you guys think? Robert?
He looked a little uncomfortable with his position. As you said, wasn't strategic in his location. Either he was a very far out midfielder or trying to wear two hats at the same time. I have agreement with that. But also, going back to the previous comment, Wigan's ball control was amazing. They were really, it wasn't just on the defensive half. On the offensive half, their ball control was very, very nice, very impressive. And ours was not until the second half where we had a man advantage and we were pressing and desperate. But on even strength, their ball control was far better than ours, far better. But that's a reflection of the game that we play, right? We give it to you. We try to counter. We'll press you, but we'll make the backwards pass. We're not a ball control oriented team until maybe the 70th minute.
The only reason we're a ball oriented
ball control oriented team. Sorry.
Yeah, the only reason we're a ball control oriented team from the 70th minute is because Reading's up 2-0 and are parking the bus to protect their lead. We had the wrong tactics right from the start and allowed a team to come at us. And therefore, unfortunately for Maka, Parky's tactics will result in a very negative play on him. Don't get me wrong, I didn't think Maka was any good tonight, but we had the wrong team, and playing those tactics, as soon as things go wrong, who was the players that we brought on? Maka. What was the problem? Maka. Well, the problem was the tactics to begin with, and yes, wrong personnel. Said in the pre-game I didn't want Maka, and I stand by it.
Revan did not have a good game.
I think just the lineup was just all wrong. You said yourself, Reading was a fast team. We had a very slow lineup in the back. It's very. I mean, you want to play O'Connor and O'Connell together. You don't have Brun out there, so you have no pace in the back, and then you have James and Maka in front of them with not a ton of speed. If you had had speed in other places, you could have had Mac out on the wing in his normal position and probably compensated. But just overall, much too slow in the back, and you could see that on the second goal. Maybe not everybody stops this, but go back and look at it a few more times. O'Connell made a very poor challenge on the player that ended up with the assist, who passed to the scoring player. And there just wasn't enough pace. They couldn't keep up with them. So, I mean, I think just if you're going to play O'Connor, you got to play him in the middle, and you got to have him flanked by two faster players. And, Patty, you said there was a scenario where you could start Ashfield and then have like a James on the bench just in case. I think his speed would have been much appreciated tonight. Certainly couldn't have been any worse than it was.
Yeah, that's always a dangerous one, though, with Ashfield. It really is. I understand the logic, and yes, the speed element. But we did say that they are weak on the wings, and they were going to be strong in the midfield. So we shouldn't have been trying to play through the midfield. It was not going to be easy. But what did you think of our play up and down the wings? Because I didn't see them get our players getting out to the wings and getting up for crosses. It was something like 18 minutes or more before we got up for the first chance at crossing the ball in. And it was Maka out on the side by the touchline, who put the first cross in. It was a dangerous cross. It actually got to a good area, but it was certainly close somewhere around the 20-minute mark, before that we managed to get any sort of attack. Like, why was it so difficult to get attacking up the wings?
I think the Reading defense was very, very aggressive, very fast on the ball. They played a very, very good game. They did. They were fast.
Yep.
They. If you go back and you look at the number of challenges that we won versus number of challenges that they won, they far outnumbered it. Certainly in the first half. First half was almost a no-show. Reading dominated the ball, and they were highly, highly skillful in their passing. I mean, if you look back at their ability to dribble out of trouble to win a ball and then quickly get it away to another man, playing the triangle, as you said, but not even a backwards triangle, more of a forward triangle. They were very, very skilled with the ball. Plus, they had a 17-year-old who was kept up with the team, and certainly proved himself. I don't know enough about what his season was like and why he was playing. I did hear some of the commentators saying that they had some other issues that required them to have some younger academy players, but at 17, that guy looked like a world beater. So certainly fit for level one. I mean, for League One, I should say.
Fine.
To me, I didn't think Reading was particularly that good before the penalty. I felt like after the penalty, they became a almost a different squad, and that's the danger of the momentum shift of any goal, but especially a penalty like that. We really just opened the door and didn't react and just let them jump all over us after that. But back to your question about the wings, I felt like Maka should have been, one of the main people feeding it out to the wings, and maybe it's a result of their defensive pressure, but he kept wanting to go back instead of trying to push up and out to the wing. And maybe that was just part of, him not playing very much midfield this season, maybe only one other time that I can remember. But I did notice that several times at the beginning of the game when you're talking about when we played back when I thought there was an opportunity to play forward and try to find either Revan or Barney on the outside.
Well, yeah, look, unfortunately, Revan didn't have his best game, but there was many layers to why he didn't have a good game, because there was no space created for him because Maka was crowding him. His supply was terrible from the midfield. So they were definitely better. And Paddy commented on it in the watch along, triangles, triangles, triangles. Well, Reading did that. And you mentioned that, Robert, that, and more forward triangles. So they actually presented themselves as players off the ball to the player with the ball. And I saw on multiple occasions where our players are standing still and not making themselves available to our player with the ball to then provide options. So, ultimately, Evans would have been a much better starter in that game than McLean to provide supply and better quality supply of ball and actually open up the space, because you would have found Evans in the middle, Matty James on one side and Rathbone on the other side, and that would have made they would have created much more space for our wingers and created much more of a threat. But unfortunately, the tactics going into the match we'll sit back, and wait, and we'll go for the game in the second half. Unfortunately, by the time we got there, we're down 2-0.
Also think there probably was some element of squad management for the Saturday game, potentially.
Yeah, but playing Evans would be no dramas, and playing the style of football that we need to play, because you can't rely on 0-0 until the 75th minute, bring on your stubs, and then try and get a late goal. Because teams are going to attack you. And a team that average age was probably 21, we did in the pre-game, it was like 21, 21, 21. Oldest player was 28, youngest player 17. There was, and I'm just like, these guys are going to come at you, and well done to Reading for doing it too. They deserve the win. We didn't.
Okay. To kind of finish on our wing backs then. So we have Revan on the left, we have Barney on the right. First up with Barney. What do we think? Should he keep his spot for the next match for Wycombe the weekend?
Relative to Longman or to whom?
Well, whoever you want.
I thought Longman had a really... Relative to Longman, I'm not sure about that. Longman had a really strong performance, I felt. Very, very strong performance. Relative to on the left side, I mean, he loses his shirt to Longman based on today's performance.
Okay. Felt like we're pulling teeth on you there, Robert, but I'm glad you said it.
Okay.
No, it's. I think of the wing backs, Revan had not the best showing today. I thought Longman in his substitution was very, very strong. I mean, you could see that he was basically the focal point of Willie out. The wide passes to get the crosses in. Then after that, Barney, I guess, was in the middle of the performance.
So maybe answer it this way. It might be easier to... So who would you put on the right? Who do you put on the left for Saturday?
I wonder how fresh Revan is at this point.
Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, how many matches has he played, including those cup matches, in the last 10? So I'm a little worried about I mean, he's young, but we didn't succeed tonight, and we kind of ran down Barney and Revan. So I'm quite concerned who the second winger is going to be, and obviously that determines which side Longman plays on.
Okay, boys, I'm calling you both out. I'm calling you both out. You're both being politicians. Give me your two wingers for the weekend.
I'll go depending on if Barney's not hurt. He looked like he was hobbling, but still functional. I would go with Barney and Longman based on today's presentation.
Okay.
Barney on the right side, Longman played the left side.
I'd go Rev and Longman, and if Rev gets winded second half, replace him.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm with you, Brian.
Okay. Do you replace him with Maka on the left, or do you then swap Longman over and bring in Barney?
Well, hopefully we come out aggressive and we're up a goal.
Stop sitting on the fence. Answer the question.
Well, I'm just saying, it's like Maka gives you better defense. Barney gives you better offense. But I would, if Barney is fit, then bring him off the bench.
Okay.
I guess Brian, what you're saying there is, if we're up, bring on Maka. If we're still chasing the game, bring on Barney.
Well, I don't think there's going to be room for both of them on the bench. But you're going to have to take a risk there. But I think Longman should expect to play 90 plus.
What's the health of Dobson?
He's needed.
He's probably going to be out for a bit.
Okay. He was wearing a boot, so possibly.
Oh, he was wearing a boot. I didn't
Yeah,
see that. I wasn't
the
aware of that.
the word came out that he could be ready for Wickham, but I don't know if that's true or not. It seems
There we
like a
go.
bit of management.
We've just fixed our formation, Paddy. John Hills has fixed our formation.
No,
That
it
could
has to be
work.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Triangles, people. Triangles.
Cowbell. More cowbell.
Okay.
But yeah, well, without a doubt, you have to start Evans. You cannot run out
Okay, hang on.
Evans,
So,
Lee, Rathbone.
stop. Okay, yeah. So we're going to go into that, but before we do, Maka. None of us are playing Maka from the start. So he's midfield. Is he out of midfield for everybody?
Yep.
Well, yeah, because if you can't play Ashfield and Dobson's not ready, then Evans is your sub, and I don't know. Maybe Parky fits Mac onto the bench as well as Barnett.
Okay, not the bench. Is he in your starting midfield?
Oh, absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Okay, right. So Maka is now on the bench or otherwise for the moment. Right. Midfield then. This is our problem area at the moment. We're losing people to injuries. Who do we have in our midfield?
I'd go with Rathbone, Lee, and Evans. That's my starting choice.
Absolutely.
So no Matty James?
No.
Okay.
No, that's too defensive, and we cannot, as you said, Ken, we cannot go into Wickham with the same tactics as today.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely we can't.
I'm also thinking that. Trying to think. There was one game we played. I'm trying to remember when it was, but we came out like in a flying offensive strategy. One that we not typically deployed. I'm trying to remember who the key players were, and I think that was when Muley Rathbone was starting to present himself as being, a potentially dominant player. Can't remember. I want to say Lincoln City, but I'm not sure of that. But we have it in it. Sorry, we have it in us. Just doesn't come out that often. And maybe there's, the instruction is to be very defensive at the beginning, get that turnover goal, and lock it down after that. Not necessarily park the bus, but certainly be resolute in defense. And if you don't get that first goal, I'm not sure the next tactic really works, which is a full open field assault. That they had a lot of chances. I mean, they had a lot of chances, but just those goal mouth scrambles don't result in a lot of goals.
Yeah,
it's frustrating.
I personally would put James in. That's one thing I do kind of disagree with. Is in his defensive duties, I actually think he's fairly solid. And if you haven't got him in there, then yes, Evans would be your counterpoint. It would be Evans if you're taking James out. But someone has to sit the bench, and at the moment, I think that should be Evans or Lee. One of them. You could put Evans on with James, and because Evans plays the ball forward better. I think he knows the team better. I think his distribution forward is better.
His accuracy is better.
His accuracy in passing forwards is better as well. So I would put James on, and I don't think there's any chance he's coming off with Parky.
I'm happily playing them both with Rathbone.
With Rathbone, and then have Lee to come on.
Have Lee to come on, and also give Matty James license to push forward, and let Evans be in control of those long passes, and give Evans an option at that halfway line just in front of it, with Matty James being there to then push it to the winger or the striker. And that we don't see that happening. I guess ultimately we're talking about players now, but I think what we all agree on is that we need a fundamental shift in tactics for the weekend.
Yeah, we have gotten away with it for far too long. This was always going to happen. But playing defensively for our away matches, it was just going to bite us in the ass somewhere. And we've been calling for it all season. We have to go more attacking. And today, like we showed later in the match, I know they were backpedaling a little bit, but we showed we can be dangerous when we attack. And we didn't do it. We played defensively still. And this was a team that was willing to give us the ball. That's the thing. They are a counter-attack team. They want you to play the ball into them. So
they try and hit you with speed.
And they try and hit you on the speed on the rebound, but we should have attacked them. Okay, so go on. Sorry, we missed that, Brian. Say again.
The way a Parky match is always structured is where do you want to be at that 65th minute? You want to be up or tied with defenders to come on, or do you want to be tied or trailing with offensive players to come on? And it's really kind of basically comes down to that question. And I would rather be either tied or leading and bring on some defensive players at 70 than to be trailing, because desperation stinks, and I think that's what happened tonight. Is you're not as crisp or precise once you get into that desperation mode.
So Brian, you think about that. Think about that question you could ask Parky. Imagine if you got to sit in front of Parky and you said at the 65th or 70th minute, Parky, would you like to be 0-0, up 1-0, or up 3-0?
Well, let's just say 0-0. Let's just say 0-0 either way, because he would never say I want to be down, right? Let's just say 0-0 either way. You want to?
Yeah, but if you listen to the finish of the question,
0-0. Okay, go ahead.
I'm saying, would you rather be 0-0, up 1-0, or up 3-0? What do you think his answer would be?
3-0.
Up 3-0.
So how do you? So then my immediate question to him when he responds with that is, what's your tactics to get us up 3-0?
Good question.
Okay, but then let's follow the train of thought on this. Okay, so what score does Parky want to be at the end of the match?
Anything winning.
And yeah, anything winning. Like you follow this down, then you say, okay, well, then you're bringing on defensive players. Are you willing to bring on defensive players and survive 2 goals to keep it 3-2? It's like, it's an interesting one. Yeah, but I've always thought that we played too defensively away from home, because it's not that often you see us playing such a defensive style when we're at home. We don't do it, and it was first half of the season we were screaming about our away performances because we weren't winning them.
And Paddy, and anybody that jumps in the comments and goes, we paid too much for Sam Smith and J-Rod, you can take that and throw it on the crap heap, because they've got no chance to score because they're not getting any supply.
Yeah. So this
then that begs the question: maybe we should have bought supply.
Maybe.
I think we've got supply, Rob. I think we've got supply. I just don't think we're using it in the right way.
Oh. What happened? Sorry. Okay, that's the wrong comment. I had a different comment there a second ago. It was from Scott from earlier. I saved it. And the comment was that the commentary team said that looking at the way they were playing, they could see why Reading was getting goals out of what's his name? I blanked. I mixed up my words.
The centre back?
No, out of our striker.
Out of our striker, Smith.
Oh, Sam Smith.
Yeah, okay. They said that they could see how Smith was scoring in the Reading team with the way they play. He was getting goals for them because of the way they play. And so people are
continuation
shouting
of that he's not getting goals for Wrexham.
He's not getting goals for Wrexham because of the way we play.
Oh. So, evidence number one: John Dottie Bad Watson.
Yes. Well, that's one. Yeah.
Evidence number two. Item number two in the evidence: Dalby. I mean, it's not a coincidence, right?
Correct me if I'm wrong. Smith likes to be running at the goal when he shoots. He doesn't like to just be standing in the box like Fletcher and snipe into the corner. So we've got to get him moving.
Well, Brian, if you look at Reading tonight, and Smith normally plays a one up front, and they allow them to have the ball and hit you on attack, and Smith had the speed, so did the rest of the Reading players. So you can imagine him playing at the front of that team, getting the ball on a quick break at his feet, and then scoring his goals in that manner. So I totally get that. But in saying that, I don't have a problem with him playing side by side with J-Rod, but we're not getting good enough supply to those two guys right now because, well, tonight, notwithstanding tonight, which was absolutely terrible, Reading deserved the win because they played the better football, and we played terrible tactics and we just fed into them. But notwithstanding tonight, as a general rule over the last month, we haven't given great supply to J-Rod and Sam Smith yet.
If you were to take a look at the formation on an actual basis, it almost looks like Wrexham plays a 3-2-2-2. 3 center backs, 2 defensive midfielders. Maybe I had one extra 2 in there. 1 attacking midfielder, 2 wingers, and 2 inside forwards that play off of each other. It's a heavy investment on the defense and not enough investment on the offense. And you only typically have 1 attacking midfielder. And is that enough? And is that why the service is lacking? And then the wing backs do what their job is. They get the ball into the center from crosses. Barney does that. Longman does that. Revan does that. Maka does that. Is that enough? Because that's the main channel, and there's not enough channel, and we've spoken about this in the past, there's not enough channel up the middle or from the middle.
Yeah, interesting comment here from John. 1 up the front means 1 more in midfield, equals more control, equals more supply, which is fine how Reading play. Wing backs means focusing more on crosses, which until Longman were nearly non-existent today. We didn't get our wing backs up. We didn't get the ball to them. They didn't get up the front, and we didn't get crosses in, which was our standard play for the longest time until very recently, where we started playing with the ball a little bit more than usual. And we just didn't do it today.
Well, to add to that, I
want to see
Revan had a bad game because. Go ahead, Rob. Sorry.
I just want to see Rev and Longman, which I think we saw before, playing together. And if it's Evans in there, he's not going to do what Maka did and crowd Rev. And I just think if we can have Evans and Rathbone looking to attack, and Rev and Longman on the outside, we can really be effective. But that's just not what Parky gave us tonight.
Revan lost his dribble quite a bit today. He
was pressured a lot today, Rob. Well, he had a lot of pressure on today, which was good by Reading, and he didn't have the space that he normally has. Why did he not have space, I wonder?
Was he too far back when he got the ball? Maybe he needs to be further up. Was he too far back when he got the ball?
Mac is too close to him. But then, credit to Reading, applied pressure. Like that, they were tight on their man.
No, Reading played a good defensive game. They played a very good. They played a good game. They played well offensively.
Yeah.
They controlled the ball throughout the field. The thing I just was most evident to me, or most apparent to me, is that they got the ball under control very quickly and got a pass out of trouble to a teammate very, very quickly. A lot of nice one-touch, two-touch passes with Reading all over the field, midfield, on the wings, on the defense. They handle the ball masterfully. Our guys get the ball. They make maybe one or two passes. One of the standard things is that they go back and forth. They pass it back to Arthur. Arthur, he'll sit down in the thought that by passing it back and forth, that they get pressed high and then they lob it over. Doesn't work that often. Doesn't work at all, actually. Especially if you can't get control on the other end to then gain the momentum of having the control on the offensive end. But
yeah, one thing that was said by the other podcasts is that Reading don't play a high press, and he stated they won't play a high press. Well, they bloody well did today. They harassed us, they harried us all through the match until they went defensive, and had the 2 goals, and it was getting later into the match. Until they backed off a little bit, and gave us a bit of space, it was absolutely working. And they don't play it. That's not their style.
They played such a high press that the guy actually tried to knock the ball out of Arthur's hands on one of the plays. I don't know if you guys saw that. Yeah, so that's as high press as you can get.
Yeah. And
Patty,
John
you
says
make a
he,
good.
sorry,
You make a good
John's
point, Patty. That I think every team. We're going to go into all these last games. They've all figured us out. So we have to assume they figured us out. They're going to use tactics and scheme to attack our weaknesses. And what are we going to do? Are we going to change anything? Or are we just going to play into their strategy?
Oh, we're not
The
going to
only
change
time
anything.
we changed tactics. The only time we changed tactics is when the first time that Lee and Palmer played, and there was success that very first game, and then the novelty and the nuance, the novelty and the newness of it wore off, and it then basically said Palmer and Lee should never play together again. So we don't have a lot of different game plans. We have, a pretty basic, simple pattern. I don't know. When I coached, it was like
you're absolutely right. And just boys, have one of you got something going on in the background there, like a little squeak or something?
It's Robert's.
Is it me?
I think so.
It's okay, but yeah,
it's okay.
Just change my headset.
But yeah, it's just apparent that you talked about Reading, their ability to pass the ball around and make their players available to the man with the ball was so far superior to us. And we've always been bad at it. We've been bad at it all season. When our defenders get under pressure, we just kick the ball long. And I don't necessarily have so much of a problem with it. I mean, we're sitting tied in second place. It's obviously worked. But the problem is that we aren't giving our attacking end of the pitch enough options to score goals. So we're relying on those brief moments. And we had more total shots than Reading tonight. We had 15. They had 12. They had 4 shots on target. We had 3 shots on target. Now, how we had more shots than them, I think we probably must have had 5 shots until the 75th minute, because all the other shots came after that, because there's just no way. I'd love to actually go back and see if I could look at what they were at each minute of the match, what the stats were, because I have a feeling up until about the 75th minute, Reading were all over us in every department.
Yeah, if there was like a graph of possession versus progression in the time, it would be Reading high and then Wrexham high, and that margin or that line would be around the 75th minute, 70th to 75th minute.
Yeah.
Patty, I don't know if you were getting to this question, but what do you guys think about bringing Brunt back? I think it's time to do it. I think this back three is too slow.
What did Brunt do to get into the doghouse? Like, what was his sin?
He made a couple mistakes, but other players make mistakes too. So, all things being equal, play with the most pace.
Just
That brings something I've
offensive
been wanting to ask for a while. Do you think that there's so much pressure? Might not be the right word, but there's so much fear of failure, fear of making mistakes, that the players are just basically naturally conservative and reluctant to make a mistake? Because if you use Revan today, he's going to lose his shirt. He's not playing the next game, right? Brunt, Scar. Scar's probably the best example of it, right? Boyle from beginning of the season, last season. Is it that they know that if they're not perfect, they get the hook? And even, to a degree, Macca, right? He had a license from up until like the 25th game, 27th game, whatever it was, to where, he could do no wrong. Or even if he did wrong, he could do no wrong.
Macca tried to shoulder charge his car and he came off second best. That's the only reason he's probably still not playing. But now that he hasn't been playing and Rev got started, I actually think our attacks look better. So sometimes things work in your favour. You make a very good point, though, Robert. Are players scared of losing and therefore not afraid and are afraid to be brave? And I was going to say, I see that in our box, especially in games. You watch players, they're afraid to go for the ball. And, now, in O'Connell's defence, he wasn't afraid to go for the ball tonight and conceded a penalty. Whether you think it's a penalty or not, he conceded it. But O'Connell in the last month has been much more aggressive at the ball and played the percentages more. And I think he's looked better for it.
I don't think he's a bad player. I think he gets some bad breaks, and today's penalty was marginal. It could have gone, I won't say either way 50-50, but a different referee might have made a different call. It was not a blatant penalty.
It wasn't a penalty at all. I don't think it was a penalty at all.
No, the ref was out of position. But
yeah,
I think maybe the red card was an apology for that penalty call, but I don't know for fact for that.
But there's always a mistake in a ref. So I'm not going to go crazy over the fact he gave it. It was an extremely light penalty, but c'est la vie. The second goal that came within a few minutes, and our defense just got ripped through with a pass, which went in behind like 4 players. It was ridiculous. But look, heads go down sometimes a couple of minutes after a goal, and we got taken.
John Hills has said it in the comments. Bad tactics. That's the main fault tonight.
So, do you think the tactics are a reflection of the style of players that we have? So, I was about to say, and this is completely only for the junior level. Sometimes the tactics are a reflection of the talent you have, right? You can't play a certain tactic if you don't have the skill set to back it up. And I'm just wondering, do we recruit highly defensive players primarily, and then you ask them to do something that is beyond their normal skill set envelope?
I don't think Rathbone is a highly defensive player. I think he wants to push the ball, but he may not have license to push the ball.
I think up until this game, he's been good. Today was just not a good game for him, and I need to do a little research. I need to see the player that I guess it would be the right back that he was going up against, and see what that guy's rankings and ratings are, because he was not effective against that player at all. He lost so many dribbles, and agreed that maybe Macca was crowding him in a little bit, and that's why he was getting the ball further back. I would think that when you're in the offensive wing position, you'd want the ball further up. So you don't need to beat as many men, but that's a function of the midfield, is being able to control the ball to free you up to make those runs.
Okay, our team is built around Parky's tactics. End of. It's very straightforward. He has a style of play he wants to play, and he brings in players that he thinks can do what he wants. That is both first and foremost the defensive duties, and then he's hoping that they're capable of adding on the extras that he sees the team getting to. But I think at this point, it's clear that some of our players are far too slow. And this is why they're starting to get pulled out of the team. And it's an issue today, more especially because we came up against a very fast team, a young, quick team. And very often we can get away with it. We can survive with the tactics with teams that are a mixture, or they have weaker players that are not good enough, but they're a bit older, so they're not as fast. Now, today we had weaker, younger players in theory, but they were quick and it made up for it, and they worked as a unit. It was very clear what their tactic was, and they changed their tactic for us. For good or ill, now you can argue this all day, we will not change our tactic. Now, if someone wants to argue that we should be changing our tactic for the teams we come up against, that's fine. I understand all the reasoning, and I would probably agree with a good chunk of it. But at the same time, you can't say that we would win more matches by changing our style of play for others. We have gotten away with it for quite a while. We are very high on points. And that's what Parky's doing. He won't give it up, and he'll take the couple of losses and the draws, and let's hope at the end of the season it doesn't kill us.
To that point, Paddy, I would say we played more defensive tonight than we have previously.
I think we played maybe as defensive as we used to play. Christmas.
We have not been playing that defensive in the last month.
Yeah, but we haven't come up against teams who can abuse us like this. So it's a bit of both. We have to give a bit of it to Reading, you know.
We sat back. We sat back.
But that's not the first time.
Is it possible that Reading could actually be more dangerous to us because of our style than Wickham? Might we actually match up better with Wickham than Reading?
100%.
Yeah.
So that's why I say
very possible.
Squad out there and go head to head and try to.
The two biggest thrashings we took were Stevenage and Leyton Orient, and they're both middle of the table teams.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and to that point, they're middle of the table teams. Just remember, people, the sky's not falling. We're still in second place. We're in third on point against, but I mean, and look, you know, I don't even think we need to win against Wickham. If we draw against Wickham, come out of that match, there is a long way to go, and we have a better run home than they do.
Okay, mate. I'm not sure where that was coming from.
No, me either.
Maybe that was Brian's one. Yeah, it's back. So some of the feedback is coming from your side, Brian.
Well, I'll just say real quick, Patty, that argument about taking the draw at Wickham would have felt a lot better if we had the draw tonight for that extra point. But.
Yeah. And Josh is jumping in here. Let's show this. They were not amazing. We sat back. Excuse me. We sat back and watched them beat us.
It's not often I do this, Paddy. Josh is right. Josh is right.
They weren't amazing, and I never said they were amazing. I said they were quick.
I'm saying we sat back. I'm agreeing with the we sat back.
Yeah, you are. I'm a little bit more middle ground on it. I think we have sat back like this before, but teams didn't capitalize on it.
So no.
So we've got an argument to finish it, maybe. Anything else that is urgent that we missed? Now, we didn't talk about our strikers too much because
I was waiting for you
we gave them nothing. We do we okay. Let's take a few minutes. Is there anything urgent to talk about J-Rod and Smith, or has that all been said to death?
One more time, please, Patty.
Starting strikers. We have J-Rod and Smith. Is there anything in particular that needs to be said about that, or is it just the same stuff we have already covered numerous times?
Fletcher in earlier.
Well, that's my next part. Then we have our subs. So then we have Fletcher and Fall. Have a go at that. What do we think of their performance?
Do we know why Marriott is not on the bench?
No.
Again, I think earlier, I think it's basically man management for the Saturday game.
Okay.
That would be my guess. But
yeah, but did a poor job at it because everything went to hell. So we had to bring the subs in early. So we didn't even rest anybody for Saturday.
Well, I mean, I think Fletcher's always going to be the super sub, so he doesn't need any rest from that many minutes. I think we did rest. I think we did rest Longman and played Barney, so I think that'll get swapped. And I think that Lee will come into the start, and Macca will be hoofed.
So, Patty, you're the analytical one. I don't have the stats in front of me, but
okay.
What was the points per game up until the January transfer window when we primarily had Palmer Mullen? And what's it been since then?
0.12.
No, I think at that point it was about 1.85ish.
Okay.
Yeah, it had dropped a little. It had dropped a little bit because we were at the 1.9 something. We were closer to the 2 points we needed for a while. Then we had a little bit of a bad run, dropped down a bit coming into the January window. We had dropped back a bit, maybe as low as 1.8, but I don't think it went below that.
So we improved since January?
Yes. Yeah, we're back up close to 2, so about 1.9. Well, with this loss now, probably about 1.95ish. Or 4, something like that. But we were close to 2. Yeah.
So we're at 68 points now? Sorry. 36 games, 68 points?
1.88 or 1.89 we are now.
At the moment, okay.
Yeah.
Just
so that's,
here.
That's totally acceptable. But, I mean, ultimately, we're going to have losses, people in the way home, just hopefully not too many. And hopefully we have more wins than Wickham.
Yeah, before tonight's match, we had 1.943. So 1.95, essentially. 1.94.
Wickham will have 10 games after Saturday or 9?
10.
They will have 10. We'll have 9.
10.
They have a game in hand.
They'll keep their game in hand, obviously, because they're playing us.
Yeah, you just got to ask yourself, how many points do you let's say we draw, how many points do you really think they're going to drop in?
Well, they have a Birmingham game to come.
No.
Well, okay, no. To that question, Brian, they play us on Saturday, but then they play midweek and catch up that game straight away. They play Rotherham away, then they have Lincoln at home, Shrewsbury at home, Reading away, Huddersfield away, Stevenage at home, Bolton away, Charlton at home, Leyton Orient away, and Stockport at home. They have some tough
Their
games.
final run.
My bad. They finished their Birmingham game. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, they lost to Birmingham.
Yeah, but if we draw, we won't control our own destiny. So if we win, we can control our own destiny. That's what I like.
that controlling your own destiny at 10 games out, though, Brian.
It's still a little early to be worrying about that.
You know, at 4 games out, you can start to think like that, but not this far out.
Yeah, but they have a significantly harder run-in. Simple as that. So you have to expect, in theory, that they'll lose more points than us in the grand scheme of things, unless we have a dip of form. Now that is where you're controlling your own destiny. If we go into a slump, then we screw our own form and our own destiny, and we've lost it. So,
and we have the ability to do that, Paddy.
Well, the next 2 matches. Let's just talk about that for a moment.
That's big for us.
This is the big end. We're in the middle of our difficult patch. This has now been 4 matches out of 6 that are really difficult and important, and we have done really well so far. Obviously, we slipped today, but we have Wycombe on the weekend, and then our next match is Stockport. If we come through those 2 matches with serious points, we are in for a decent run-in. And then, kind of as you're saying, it's in our own hands. We need to go on a decent run. We have got, in theory, average teams. And we have a lot of teams from the lower end of the table. But at the moment, it's looking like even those weaker teams are going to be out of the game. They're going to be basically relegated with almost nothing to play for by the time we're playing them. And it's then in our hands to keep the run going. And we have to have a run-in with Wycombe. They'll have the harder run-in, and we need to keep the points better than them. But not by much.
No.
But the next 2 games are really important. Yeah. Very tough games. We don't need to lose those.
No. And Glenda, we have 4 games at home, 6 games away for the rest of the season. So there. Yeah. But you're right, Paddy. These next 2 games, big games for us. We could come out of those 2 games with 4 points for me, averaging 2 points. Then, and Wycombe has a harder run home. I'm going to be very bullish about us getting automatic promotion.
Yeah, I would. Again, there's a lot of combinations there. It's not the end of the world if we don't.
Although I don't want to lose to Wycombe.
A draw with Wycombe.
A draw with Wycombe.
A draw would be okay with Wycombe.
But a draw would be okay.
Yeah. Okay, guys, I think we'll leave it there. There's still a bit more static coming through. But we've had a really nice chat on this. I think we covered a lot. Bad loss. Look, it comes with the territory. Let's lick our wounds, and we've got a big one.
Can I throw one question out before we go?
Yeah, go on.
Do we think this was a one-off or foul, or do we think he's in the match day lineup, either on the bench or maybe starting for the rest of the season, or is this a one-off and we may not see him again?
Depends on the reason he was on the bench today. If he was on the bench because Marriott can't be on the bench, then we might be seeing him again. No one has heard why Marriott wasn't on the bench today. If he's just getting rotated out for a little breather, and maybe Fall is playing well and he was going to give him a few minutes run out, then who knows?
Yeah,
I think Marriott will be back unless he's injured.
Yeah.
So from a logistics point of view, where are Mullen and Palmer? Are they just playing in the practice, and they don't travel with the team?
Do you see where you're sitting right now, Rob? You're in your house.
Yeah,
that's where Mullen and Fletcher are right now.
Mullen
and that's where they'll be for the rest of the season.
Mullen Palmer, yeah.
Mullen Palmer, sorry. That's where they'll be for the rest of the season.
So they show up to practice.
Yep.
They don't travel to the games.
Unless requested.
Yeah, unless requested. So in other words,
that's
if you've got... Because right now, if you take your full strike force that are available, which is Smith, J-Rod, Fletcher, Farl, Marriott, Mullen, Palmer. Have I missed anybody?
No, I think that's it. They're number 6 and 7, right?
That's 7. That now, if and assuming Marriott's not injured, Mullen is 6, Palmer is 7 in Parky's eyes. So, therefore, I think we could see, to answer your question, Brian, I think we could see Fale on the bench a couple more times for this season if Marriott's fit.
And that's an interesting point that I've just thought from a slightly different point of view. Did anybody spot Marriott at the ground today?
Didn't see it.
I'll put that out there to the chat if anybody knows, and maybe that's a discussion to have in Discord. Is if anybody should have been around the ground today as an extra in case something happened in the warm-ups or whatever like that, it probably should have been Marriott. Even if he's resting or taking it easy for the game on the weekend. Because he's ahead of both Mullen and Palmer. So that's an interesting question. Because we have had an extra striker on the bench sometime.
There you go, Paddy. Welsh Techie.
There you go.
Marriott was there.
Welsh Techie. Marriott was there. So therefore, Marriott in theory should not have been injured.
He did the early warm-up.
The plot thickens.
He did the early warm-up.
Okay, so that means he was rested for the weekend.
He's rested for the weekend.
Well,
slash an opportunity
over the course of the week, think about if you still like the J-Rod Smith combo, or should you maybe pair somebody else with Smith? Think about that this week.
Oh, he's not changing that for such a.
I don't need to think about it, Brian. For me personally, I'm happy to see them in there. I just want to see a better midfield. And Welsh Techie, I've been screaming it.
Ashfield was with them.
I've been screaming it from the bleachers for the last 2 months. He should be in the starting lineup or at least on the bench, but he would be awesome as a starter.
I agree.
Ashfield, Marriott, and Mendy.
If you'll take the risk on foul, why not take it on Ashfield? I don't see the difference, but
there is a bit of a difference.
There's a difference, but let's face it. What are we not giving our strikers? Supply. What's the problem? We're not good enough through the midfield. Who's a good cam? Harry Ashfield.
He's good at keeping the ball.
And he turns a player.
Yeah.
Maybe if we were mid-table and we had nothing to win, nothing to lose, you might see more.
Go for it. Grow a pair, have a crack, and go for it.
Okay. This is a fair point I want to bring up before we finish this, because this is actually getting an interesting conversation. Has piqued my interest again. Okay. John
you were out of here, Paddy.
Oh, yeah, no, that's okay. John Hills. Marriott was knackered from those 6 minutes he played in the last game. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, he's on the bench, right on the bench.
Yeah, cool.
Now, I did also say as well that I think it was with you, Ken, before we even started. Maybe Fal has been doing well in training. You know, maybe he has worked well with Marriott. Not Marriott, sorry, Fletcher in training. And maybe he deserved a shot. So maybe it was just simple rotation. That
he had a good game in the EFL Cup game.
Yes, yeah. But like I said, maybe he has shown major improvement in training. And Parky said it's time to just get him back on for a few minutes, see how everything is going in a match. And today was the opportunity. He looked okay when he came on, but obviously we were chasing it at that point. So it's very different than bringing him on at 70 minutes and everything is comfortable. But yeah, Marriott is likely to be swapping back with Fal. It will be interesting to see which one of them is on the bench. If there's no issues with Marriott and he's here today, I think Marriott will be back on the bench.
I think, at Wickham, that requires nerves of steel. And we have players that have played in the championship or in other big games. This is almost, it's not quite like a Wembley type game, but it's a big game. And I don't know if Fal has the nerve for it or not. But I think.
Do you think they're going back to Wrexham, or are they going to stay in the London area? Because if my geography is right, Reading is to the west of London and Wickham is to the north of London.
They'll be going back.
They'll go home.
They'll be going
Too
back.
many
They'll go
days. Too many days.
Yeah, because then you're demanding players stay in hotels for multiple days. You have to rent locations for training, all this sort of stuff. Like, I know Reading might help you out and let you do something with them, but look,
We'll go home.
it's all cost. They'll go home, yeah.
We've got a few days. Then we've got a Saturday game, a Saturday game, a Saturday game. We've got 3 Saturday games in a row now without a midweek game in between. So they'll get
Plus,
home.
they do sometimes fly. It's not like they're sitting on a bus for half a day to get home.
And Wycombe has a Tuesday game following this Saturday game.
Yeah,
against Rotherham.
They're not going to be thinking about that
Pretty
Tuesday
good
game yet. This is
Yeah,
a
no, I
big
know.
game for
So
both these clubs.
Chickens hatching and eggs and everything else. Understood.
Mhm.
No, good call. Well, again, that's right. You have a draw, and absolutely they're gassed. They then have to play Rotherham away, and could
And
immediately
they have their moments.
That's right. Could immediately be the blessing we need.
Well, gentlemen, I'll see you Saturday. Hopefully, we have a good result.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Well,
say
now
goodnight.
the one thing I will say is we do step up for the big games. Usually, we do. I'm always less
hope.
nervous about the big teams than the weaker ones. I am.
No.
Yeah,
Now
hopefully.
today wasn't a weak team either. They're 6th, so or 8th.
But remind me, wasn't Peterborough a big game?
No, they're going to relegation.
Well, we went 2 up.
Past
Yeah,
tense.
We had the game in hand. Yeah.
Past tense.
Why did you mention them?
It just makes me feel so
We
much
had a
better.
nice
Ash,
show
if you're
ready to
out there,
go.
hurry,
Don't
Ash,
Peterborough
if
like
you're
a
out there,
bomb
hurry
right
up
in the
and get
middle.
that Peterborough kit over to Paddy. It's just going to make my day.
By the way, Patty, where's the jersey? Where's the blue jersey?
coming.
When's it coming?
It's coming.
It's coming. It's in the mail.
Yeah, it'll get
Get it
stuck
over.
in
I
bloody
cannot
customs.
wait. The rest of the season, he's got to wear that
What-
kit.
I mean,
What's the
bollocks,
tariff on that? Did we raise the tariffs on that? Oh no, that's my.
I'll
side
pay
of
the
it.
tariff.
Well, there's VAT.
Yeah,
There'll
don't
be a
worry about
tax
it.
in Finland, but yeah.
It's not cheap, but it's not ridiculous either. It's fine. It's on the way.
Gentlemen, again, thank you so much. Catch you guys Saturday.
Yes.
Take care.
Get
I'm
us
a man
out
of
of
my
here,
word.
Dad.
You'll
Get us
see
out
it.
of
Thank you, boys.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you, everyone.
right.
Next match.